MCP is a non-profit organization founded in the Visayas region of the Philippines in 2015. It was founded by my wife and I, and later on we've been joined by other people. We are a volunteer-based organization. That means that volunteers from different countries come and join us and help participate in the sort of work we do. First and foremost, MCP is a conservation organization. A lot of the work we do is scientific in nature, or we work in education, but these are means to an end. The area we work in stretches from, say, halfway up in the municipality of Darwin through Zamboanguita down to Tambobo Bay in Seattle. So roughly, I think we encompass about 50 kilometers of coastline. Our ambition long term is to work throughout the whole Visayas region, and maybe one day, if we're lucky and good enough, we'll work throughout the whole Philippines. But as of now, within the first 2 years, we're working very locally.
So what we do with the conservation program is at MCP, I think the most important thing is that we try to do a continuous monitoring of our research site. So that means that eventually at all our 9 dive sites where we're diving at the moment, we want to do continuous monitoring of fish, of invertebrates and of substrate. What we do with that continuous monitoring is we do that at a different depth, so at a depth of 5 meters and at a depth of 10 meters, and you can only do that while scuba diving because you need to be underwater for at least 45 minutes. The benefit of that continuous monitoring is that it will give us an idea over time whether the health of the coral reef is improving or actually decreasing. So what we did with the fish is we selected a list of indicator fish species, and we try to focus on a few species which we think are really important. With the invertebrates, we try basically to look at everything, things ranging from feather stars and sea stars to crabs and shrimps and sea cucumbers as well. And with the substrate, what we do is we look at the difference between hard coral and soft coral, but we also look at other substrates. So what you see on the bottom, so that's for instance the difference between silt and sand, but also rock. And because we do that monitoring a few times a year, we can see the differences over time, and then hopefully when something is going wrong, so for instance somebody dumped a lot of toxic waste in the sea, or all of a sudden the algae start to explode and you see a lot of algae, because we do that continuous monitoring, it will give us an idea when something bad is happening, and then hopefully we can deal with it and react on it and see what the cause is of a sudden explosion of algae, for instance, to see if we can do anything with it. So we try to help the municipalities with their marine protected area, and on top of that we try to help them with wherever they think they need help. We can provide the municipality with support to maintain a marine protected area. So if you have a marine protected area, it's very important that you have a demarcation line, and those are buoys which are attached to a sinker, and the sinker is a block of concrete underwater. You need the help of divers with that as well, because you have to dive down and attach a rope to the concrete so that you can see the buoy on the surface.
I'm Antonio Ufor. I'm currently working at the municipality of Zamboanguita.
MCP makes the study that should be reported annually as part of the progress of MPA monitoring to the environmental office in the province.
Marine protected area can be either set up by the barangay themselves, so that's the people in the neighborhood they live in, because they have a lot of autonomy in their barangay, and basically they decide whether they want to have a marine protected area in front of their barangay or not. The amount of fish in the marine protected area is much higher compared to outside an MPA. And not also the amount of fish, but also the diversity of fish. So that means that you see much more different species inside an MPA compared to outside an MPA. And then if you look at the fish are not only more and are not only more diverse, but they're also bigger. And that's because in a marine protected area, because the fishing is not allowed, the fish actually gets a chance to grow up and reach all the way to maturity. While outside an MPA, fish are often caught when they're still juvenile or they're almost adult. So most of the fish outside an MPA are not getting that big as in the MPA. For the fishermen, living close to an MPA is actually beneficial, and that's because what you call in biological terms the spillover effect. And that means that the fish don't really know whether they're inside or outside a marine protected area. And because the areas are relatively small in the Philippines, a lot of the fish, they move at some point outside the marine protected area. And that means that if a lot of the fish get the chance to grow up in an MPA, they will eventually move outside an MPA. And outside an MPA, the fishermen are allowed to catch the fish again. So you can even see that outside an MPA, the number of fish increases over the years, as long as you'll make sure that there's no violations in the marine protected area, so there's no illegal fishing going on. It takes a few years, but then even outside the MPAs you'll see an increase of fish, which also makes it beneficial for the fishermen. To join us, they either decide to do a dive course or even multiple dive courses if they stay longer than a month. And on top of that, you got help in the conservation part of Marine Conservation Philippines, and that means you can actually do a whole different range of things. We try to do a beach cleanup at least once a week, so that means that we start with a beach cleanup and then we continue with the dive cleanup. And during a dive cleanup we'll of course pick up all the plastic in the water, but we also take dive knives with us, and unfortunately there's also a lot of discarded fishing line or even fishing nets underwater, because sometimes nets or line gets stuck on the coral, and then the fisherman can't remove it anymore, so it stays there.
We often encounter discarded fish nets, old fish traps, wobbles that are left behind, forgotten, maybe got snagged on corals and stones and discarded, but throughout the years it keeps fishing and fishing and fishing, and it's depleting the reef, and it's essentially stealing a natural resource that belongs to the people.
So we do dive and beach cleanups. On top of that we have our continuous monitoring programs. They also help with demarcation of marine protected areas, and on top of that we try to do as much together with the local people as possible. So that means that we also have an education part at MCP where volunteers prepare lessons for students, but also can help out with other educational parts.
At first we're really excited to come because this is an adventure, and now they are really immersed in the actual world of nature, and at least I'm sure they will develop interest in nature, and later on they will be more committed to the environment.
Once every month we collaborate with this local science high school. We invite a group of youngsters up here to participate in a day program which has different subjects within the brackets of environmental education. I loved it. I loved it. I loved every bit of it. I like seeing the interest the kids have, and how they're going to go out and teach other people. They're going to have that knowledge for the rest of their life, and we have contributed to it, and thanks to MCP. As of now, we have quite a few staff members that are the local staff members. We have a cook, Melba, and her husband, Bernard, that are here every day. We buy our vegetables and fruit at the local market. We also try to grow our own vegetables that we can.
This is a pineapple one. We have to wait for 3 years, I think, before we can have fruits pineapple. And then we have lemongrass that we need for cooking. Sometimes depend on our cooking.
Then we have some maintenance staff, and they make sure that we build in a way that is local beneficial, that we are not taking our habits with us from back home and building as we were there, but building in a natural Filipino way. This is not a luxury camp. This is a very, very basic, and we don't need anything luxury here. It's great to have like the local knowledge of how to build an actual camp for livable conditions in this area.
Once we sort of pack our bags and our children take over after us, they're going to be the ones who form the future of the seas of the Philippines, and we believe that through education that we can achieve real positive change. So we try to work together with different groups, try and teach about the marine environment, teach about plastic pollution, teach about the importance of mangroves, teach about how we can fish sustainably, teach about global warming, teach about a lot of the things that essentially influence all of our lives in subtle or dramatic ways.
Has opened my eyes to how everybody affects the rubbish that we see in the ocean, and just having that knowledge now that we need to take care of everything that's going on.
Ultimately, the only custodians of the planet are us, and we need to protect it and take care of it, because it's our livelihoods and it's our revenue for the future. It's the food for our children, and we need to take care of these natural resources.